to tell you that we love you and we magnify your name. We just give you glory tonight. We thank you for bringing us together. And as we discuss to advocate for our town and move the quality of life for our small town further, God, we ask that you would just come in and allow us to operate in unity and togetherness. God, and we just thank you and touch our first responders and continue to protect them, offer them safety for the rest of their days, and give us peace, purpose, and promise for the rest of all of our lives. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. In the, what do I think? The way our program is going right now, I'd like to have two of our, Little Miss New Brockton and Petite Coffee County Queens come forward. Right over here, girls, please. And they will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Do the roll call, please.
Just a quick roll call. Alan Rodriguez.
Here.
Next in line is Justin Flowers.
Here.
Next in line is Gordon Whitaker.
Here.
Then we have the Mayor Charles Schufer.
Here.
Next in line is Todd Askin.
Here.
And then we do have some volunteers.
I'm here.
For this evening's meeting, we've invited our state representative, Rick Marquez. Is that correct? Marcus. And Senator Carnley. I talked to Rhett at a meeting a couple months back about giving us information on the legislative session. And I think we passed that information on to Senator Carnley also. So we had discussed, because of the legislation period being just completed a couple weeks back, that they would give us a rundown as their indications of what may affect smaller communities in the state of Alabama, especially in our area. And then we'd open the floor up to comments or questions. We have a couple questions that have been posed by a couple of our council members. And hopefully we have a couple of citizens that may also have something depending on what you put out for us. But we're looking, again, talking to you, we're not sure this has happened forever in one of the smaller communities in Lower Alabama. I'd like to also thank Mayor Cooper from Enterprise for showing up, and Mayor Maddox from Elba, and the representatives from the County Commission, Tony Moore, and again, Clint Gray. So, thank you guys. Red, I'll give you the floor first, only because he needs a rest from walking into the place.
Well, I really appreciate you, Mayor, and Council, for inviting Senator Carnley and I. It's great to see everybody. I'll probably keep it a little brief, so I'd rather honestly answer questions that y'all have. And Senator Carnley will have some comments, I'm sure. But it was the legislative session just ended, like the mayor said a couple weeks ago. And it started off with a lot of anticipation, a lot of things that we were going to try to get done. Toward the end, it kind of got contentious, which tends to happen at the state level, and it kind of slowed down the process. But that's the way it normally is. So it's nothing really different. We did have two of the most robust budgets that we have ever had. The Education Trust Fund budget was a little over $10 billion, and the General Fund budget was about $3.5 billion. So those were that when you have money, it's you would think that in council y'all know how this works. When you have money, it actually makes it more difficult because everybody wants a little. But when you don't have money, it's easy to say no. Well, this legislative session, we actually, even though the budgets were larger than normal, we actually didn't have the growth that we had in the past. But we did do a couple things with, and this does affect citizens of the whole state, but especially Coffee County. And we had a couple of things that tax cuts that we implemented, and one of those was starting September 1st will be milk, diapers, that kind of thing. The sales tax, the state sales tax will be removed from those items. So that formula, that type of thing. And we also removed another 1 cent off the grocery tax. So that makes 2 cents from the state. We have a 4-cent sales tax in the state. That's been reduced by 2 cents. So we did implement that. And those are 2, I think, very good things for the people of the state and the people of this county. With that, I will let Senator Carnley come up, but there was a couple of things that, especially for Coffee County, and Senator Carnley may want to touch on it, is we did pass a bill for Alpha to, if you're an Alpha member, that you can get health insurance through Alpha. So that is something that is new, and Coffee County is heavily represented with Alpha. So that may be something that if you are a member, that you can look into. Senator Carnley?
Yep.
And I look forward to any questions that come up.
Pardon me, I thought I was still a teenager, was playing softball, fell and broke my hip, had to have 3 screws to put me back together. So I'm thankful for good medicine and good family that takes care of me. But thank you for the invite, thank you for the opportunity to kind of share with the community. I have to write stuff down because I forget. I start talking all over the place. I don't jot down my notes, but just a lot of stuff goes on statewide. One of the big things, and I know Representative Marcus and I work well together on things, but the big thing we always work towards is allowing the communities and the counties home rule to kind of work what's important to them, to the towns, to the cities, because a lot of these tax initiatives, they sound good, but I don't know how it affects the local budget, and sometimes the citizens want us to cut the tax. We do it at the state level, but it can impact the local government's budget. Now, we work with them and try to help them out, but, so we try to be cognizant of that as we work on things. And I'll just run through real quick some things that I think are important to everybody. A couple of things that have been happening, kind of goes to education, but also communities or vape products. This is a bill that came out of the House to try to regulate those a little more, because you're seeing a lot more products, and the biggest part of the regulation is our children. A lot of our kids are getting these products, they're laced with things, and we're seeing parents call and saying, hey, my kid was hospitalized, they got a hold of something that they didn't know. Our law enforcement understands this because they get to see the outcomes or the results of it. So what it does is it limits how the products can be marketed and where they can be sold, and try to make sure they're FDA approved and have that permit. One big thing that's out there that I don't know that a lot of people are really aware of, and I would challenge you to go to a convenience store somewhere and look for THC products, psychocannabinoids. These are things that are out there. These are derivatives of federally approved THC products that were never intended for what they are, but they get shipped to another state, synthesized and brought back. You see these gummies out there, and teenagers are able to get a hold of these things. We've actually sent kids into stores that were 16. They would come out with a bag full of them, and some of them are as strong as smoking a joint. And that's what we're seeing more and more kids begin to look to, because they don't have the after effects, the hangovers that you would see with alcohol. They can consume one gummy, and it's the equivalent of 4 mixed drinks. And so we have to really do a better job of making sure that we're I was for banning these things and just getting rid of them totally, but that's not what we got, and so we're working with that. Working in our communities, as we've seen immigration and some of the issues that have come with that, but also being sensitive to the agriculture and industry that use or has to have these workers there. There are bills that have been presented to try to make sure that we're not allowing people just to come and go as they please. One of them is, it's a crime to conceal and transport immigrants across state lines. There are some exceptions in there for churches or nonprofit organizations. But that is one. It also requires fingerprints and DNA samples. Everybody says, well, that's not fair, but we do it to American citizens, but we don't do it to these immigrants. And so if they're arrested, I mean, these are not people we're just pulling off the street. It have to be somebody that has committed a crime. Also, we don't recognize or will not recognize driver's license from another state that don't have background checks as far as somebody's citizenship. So if they're, and I think there's 12 states that don't require you to prove citizenship to get a driver's license. If you come from one of those states to Alabama, we're not going to just automatically give you a driver's license, and we're not going to recognize that driver's license. So if somebody's coming through Alabama and they have that, they get pulled over for some kind of conviction, they can have their driver's license taken away and be, you know, the vehicle be impounded until somebody comes and picks them up. So those are some of the things that affect our law enforcement. There's a police officer immunity bill that was very contentious this time because, you know, there's a lot of delicate issues and sensitive things that you really have to be sensitive about. This is not, you know, a license for officers to go out there and shoot somebody. It's not because somebody's been pulled over and they're just sitting there and it gives them the right to do it. It's really one of those heat of the moment, you know, where they have to make that split second decision, you know, do I, you know, fire or do I get fired upon? And so, you know, we'll see how that plays out, but there was a lot of dialogue and back and forth, and hopefully we've got something there that protects our law enforcement as they're protecting us. There was a change that affects all of us, or at least those that are on the ballot this upcoming year. The way that the law is written, the primary election for 2026 was going to happen the Tuesday after Memorial Day because of how we say it's the fourth Tuesday of that May. Talked to our counties a lot. That was going to be an issue because they were going to be off on Monday. Well, these machines don't get put out early Tuesday morning. They get put out on the, you know, on the Monday before. You know, our law enforcement has to work on making sure these get out there. So it was going to create a lot of heartburn and headache for our counties that were putting the machines out. So we backed it up a week, so it'll be the third Tuesday. And it says that it will be that way in every off presidential election cycle. So that affects our counties, all 67 of them. We talked about the grocery tax. There was a business personal property exemption. This affects small businesses in our community. There's currently a tax exemption for the first $40,000 of personal property. We increased that exemption to $100,000. Let's see. This is, you know, just it affects our general population, but there was an age of medical consent bill that passed this time. That increases the age from 14 to 16. What it said previously, you know, if a 14-year-old said, I don't want my parents to know what's going on, you know, they live in the home and the parents pay the medical bills and they do all of the caring for that person. You know, a doctor had the right to deny the parent access to those medical forms or any kind of treatment. The bill was originally set to 18, but, you know, because of opposition, it was negotiated out and eventually got to 16. So that was updated in this past legislative session. Foreign driver's license will no longer be permitted as a valid source of voter ID. So that's been changed and removed. Pornography filters on cell phone, I think that's one that's been worked on in the House for a couple of years. That got passed to say that any kind of cell phone or a tablet, smartphone device that was that's sold here in Alabama would have that filter turned on, and just, you know, and trying to protect our children from access to these things. A lot of times they stumble onto these things, they're not looking, but once they get there, you know, they're there and begin to desire to see those things. We did PBM reform, pharmacy benefit managers. I don't know if any of you tied to pharmacies, but, you know, we didn't even get all we wanted. There was a lot more that we tried, but, you know, there's a lot of pushbacks from self-insured organizations because of the fear of what it was going to cost them. But we feel like this is going to be good long-term for Alabama, for citizens, for pharmacies. We've seen it work in other states where drug costs have actually gone down because the PBM is the middle person. They're not, you know, an educated pharmacist, and they're not a drug manufacturer. They're just the middle person that dictates which drugs get sold and what you get paid, and it's very convoluted. Most of these, there's 3 big ones in the United States, and every one of them's budget's larger than the state of Alabama's budget. That's how big these companies are. And again, they're just middle people. You know, they're not providing the service outside of saying, okay, you pay this copay, and then we're going to pay the insurance company this much money. And there's just a lot going on in there. And we hope that this will help our local independent pharmacies, because they were the ones that were getting squeezed and put out of business. And you know, I don't know if there's a pharmacy in New Brockton, but I know like in Elba and Enterprise, you know, these were going to be threatened to be extinct before long. And I told people, I said, you know, when you look, you never see Walgreens or CVS on the back of a Little League baseball jersey. It's usually your local pharmacies. Those are the people that are supporting our communities, and we want to make sure that we give them a fair shot to continue to do what they do in the community. So, you know, one last thing, Galaxy Gas. I don't know if our law enforcement, if y'all dealt with this. This was something they call them whippets. You know, our kids were, you know, getting a hold of these things, and they were able to buy them in our convenience stores. It's basically nitrogen gas, I think is what it is. That may not be exact, but you see them, they use them cooking a lot. That's how they do whipped cream, you know. But they were found on convenience store shelves, and these kids were getting them, and they were inhaling this. You know, which was, you know, damaging them, and some of them were even hospitalized, and there were a few deaths from it. So what this does is it tells the retailer, look, if you're selling this stuff illegally, you're going to pay the price, because, again, this is another one of those where our kids are, you know, they're seeing these things on social media, and that they're tempted to try them out. They go do it without thinking of, how is this going to impact me? And next thing you know, we've got somebody that's got an illness or a condition that's going to affect them for the rest of their life, and some of them never get to come home from that. And so, you know, our goal is to try to protect those who are unable to protect themselves in some of this regulation laws that we're working with. Budgets, like you said, we worked through those, and I'll stop, talk too much, and answer any questions.
He's used to filibustering in the Senate. He talks a lot. All right. But,
We have a number of questions that have been pushed around here. Councilman Flowers has some interest that he's in, and we'll start with yours, I suppose, unless any.
Yeah, sure. Just out of curiosity, I'm asking from a whole different realm because I'm with the Department of Mental Health. So anything new on Medicaid? I was gonna wait till Thursday's lunch and then Andalusia takes, but I might as well get it out of the way now. Anything new with Medicaid cuts and the funding and all that? Anything different with Medicaid?
not different. It actually, the budget went up this year for Medicaid, and it has been over the last few years. Neither Senator Collier and I are on the budget committees. However, mental health is critical, and it has been continued to get increased. And as you know, there's going to be some in Brantley. There's going to be a mental health facility looking there, and then one in Dothan. That will help. We got a long way to go, and we fell behind. And when we closed Bryce and Searcy, that really hurt. That was back in 2012, and so we're trying to catch up from that. And it is a lot of money, and but we are. It's one of the governor and the Speaker of the House, and I think even Senator Dudridge, one of their main focuses is mental health. So as far as the Medicaid, it's going to continue being an issue as federal dollars come down, and it's going to be something that we're going to continue to have to watch.
And then my last two things that I had, they kind of two different facets, but on the side of public safety, policing, any new bills, anything new from that side of public safety?
Well, I think you hit on that with the community.
Yeah, there was most, the police immunity bill, that was one. We did have a scholarship bill, but that bill never got passed. We hope to get that back up next year to offer scholarships to our law enforcement officers, their families, if they choose to go to college and they've been in service for so long. It's just one of those. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but until you get there, it's hard to understand how it gets caught up in all the minutia that goes on with, because you got to give people the right to speak. And so you see filibusters, and those take time, and it just you get a lot of bills, and it starts to bottleneck, and things don't get passed. So hopefully we'll see it again next year.
And then my last thing on the opposite end was the economic development in small rural towns, rural areas. What does any new funding, any new opportunities, any sustainability?
Yes. Last year, Senator Carly and I worked on this together, and there was a big push with economic development from last year. And what was I can't remember the thing they called it, anyway, but one of the things that came out of that is at first, in the way the bill was first written, there was a threshold of 50,000 population or below got 100% from the state, and we actually worked together and got that level to 60,000. The reason for that is Coffee County is about 55,000, 55,000. So it affected about 8 or 9 counties that were right there, and we should still be considered rural. And we were going to be where if that threshold wasn't moved, it would have taken about 25% away that we would have had to. So it would have been a 75-25. And now with the fact that it's up to 60,000, we were able to, if we get state help, it will be 100%. So I think that was a big thing. That was last year. This year, they're just really good workforce.
Yeah, no, there's grant fundings out there. Of course, they're not just, hey, take a grant and see what you can do. Generally, they're tied to a specific project or a company. One of the big things that I think we've talked about a lot is trying to work together regionally. It's very hard for a small community to go out there and try to bring in a bigger employer because you just don't have those resources that these big cities are offering. I mean, you think about what just happened in Baldwin County. I mean, a 900-acre site got turned into a big economic development project. It's going to bring 1,000 jobs. That's a community that's already growing, but I think it's partnering together as communities, understanding that we're all not going to get one thing, and, if it's good for Enterprise or Elba or New Brockton, then it's going to be good for the community. And, trying to break those barriers or thinking we got to have everything for ourselves. I think about New Brockton, I mean, the number of housetops growing around here, but it's, tied to Enterprise and some of the things going on in Elba with the industry. And so I think it's just partnering together to figure out what each other's strengths are and how can we, communicate and seek out those grants and opportunities. Ella McNair is our new commerce director. She took over here about a year ago, I think. She's really active and trying to be more involved in trying to see our rural communities. But, the hindrance for rural communities is always going to be workforce. How do we attract that workforce? I mean, if we bring a big employer down here that can bring in 2,000 jobs, where do we get the people to do it? And that's what these big groups, or not just big groups, but groups are looking for. Okay, I can go plant there. You're going to give me these incentives, but where am I going to get the people, the skilled labor that's going to do that? And there's a lot of partnerships with our community colleges that are trying to train workforce and try to, it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. What do? You go get the industry and train, or do you train and try to get an industry? And I think it's a little bit of both, And so I think there's going to have to be those roundtable partnerships with our other communities and see, how can we work together to try to bring in something. And, I know it's a phrase often used and gets worn out, but a high tide rises all ships. And I think we have to look at that in our community and economic development. But there are grants and there are funding out there, the SEEDS grants that help with site development for, potential projects. So, we'll be glad to help and work with you any way we can if there's a potential to try to see a project, land somewhere here in Coffee County.
Councilman Rodriguez.
My question is pretty broad. What is your advice on getting a local farmers market up and going? Is there any grants that you can think of that could point us in the right direction?
Well, we definitely working with, Rick Tate at, okay. He has a division that helps with that very thing. When Mayor Cooper and I were on the city council together, we built a new farm market. We already had a farm market, but we built a new one. And it was a partnership. I think, am I right, Bill, saying that it was USDA and the state? It was kind of it was a big group. But to answer your question, we need to get you in touch with Rick Pate, the Commissioner of Ag. Very good at what he's doing. He's doing a tremendous job for the state. He has developed a lot of programs, Sweet Grown Alabama, a lot of different things. And he is somebody that will definitely be an asset. Yes.
Ronnie Davis with Wiregrass RC&D, they're also a source. Yeah. Wiregrass RC&D, they do a lot of small grant funding. They're not going to be your source for the primary funding, but they can help with smaller parts of it or try to help out with matching funds. And they do a lot for our rural communities. So that money is appropriated by the state, but it goes to them and they kind of regionally manage that money because we don't know all the projects that are going on in the small communities, but they do. And generally you get on there and apply. I think it's in April, it's the deadline or something, but he would be a good person to invite over here just to show him what you're trying to do, show him the vision and allow him to help. I mean, they tried to help out. They do stuff with schools, playgrounds, things like that, just to try to help. Yeah. Yeah, they're a good resource. We can help you with that. You're welcome.
Councilman Atkins, second. Councilman Brown.
But they felt for me.
No, thank you.
I'm going to throw one out here and then open it up to anybody else that wants to speak. Is there any talk still in the Alabama legislature about a lottery?
I'll tell my side. They can tell.
To answer your question, it will not come up next year. Is my feeling on it. I would say if it comes up, it'll be in the new quadrennium in 2026, 2027 actually. It's not as simple as it looks. There's a lot of moving parts. And I know other states have done it. We're one of 4 states that does not have a lottery. But there's a lot of things, do you develop a commission? Do you tie the Quartz Creek Indians into that with a compact? There's a lot of different things that will come. But in my humble opinion, it was Senator Albritton had a bill that didn't get the support in the Senate. And he's the senator, I'm not, but it didn't have the support. And the House was not going to take it up unless it got out of the Senate. And so I do not see, the odds are not very good at it coming up next year at all.
Good term.
Good term.
No, I tell folks, I said, you don't understand these things until you get in the middle of the battle. But I always ask people last year when we got out of session, because I voted no, and people go, oh, you voted no. Of course, for me, it's just, I don't know who it really helps. I mean, I think generally, if you see those populations, they generally decline or there's issues. And when the first $500,000 of the budget's dedicated to helping people that have a gambling addiction, to me, it's kind of contrary to what we do. Are we really helping people or hurting people? And I know it's, hey, well, this money, but sometimes that money's not worth the sacrifices we make, to me, morally, and the things that are going to happen. The dad or mom goes and decides to buy tickets with what they could have done with their children, then it becomes the government's problem to take care of the kids because now the parents have squandered. Beside that point, I'll say this from a financial standpoint. The high-end estimates of a lottery are $300 million for Alabama. We got 5 million people versus Florida's 20 million. And everybody says, well, bring that money back to Alabama. That's the assumption that more people are gonna buy lottery tickets, you know, and that money that's going to Florida is gonna come back, which not all of it is. So $300 million, and I ask because the people that generally come to us and want us to pastor are generally education. Nothing wrong with that because, you know, they feel like this is an opportunity for them to be able to see education expanded. But last year we had a bill to help retired teachers by giving them a 2% COLA or cost of living increase. And that bill alone would have cost us $600 million. So we were not even with a lottery, if we got it, we wouldn't even be able to give half of what we would have dedicated just to retired teachers. But, you know, we tell everybody a lottery is going to pay for higher education. Okay, well, if we do that, then that means we're not going to pay for the teacher's retirement increase. The general fund wants it for roads and bridges, so then you have to take, you know, so the fight is generally over who gets the money. It's not, do we want a lottery or not? I guarantee if you just passed that bill and said, hey, we're not going to worry about the money, just do you want to pass it, it would pass. But where the opposition comes is, well, where does the money go? Because it's like, okay, if I'm not going to get the money, then I'm not going to support it. I'm going to fight to kill it. And that's what happened last year when the bill finally got down. They stripped out sports betting, stripped out the level 3 gaming, and it was just going to be a lottery and historic horse betting at the sites that already had locations. The biggest opponent to that, can you imagine who it was? It was not the Southern Baptist Association or the Coalition of Christians. It's the Porch Creek Indians. Because they said if we can't get gaming tied to the lottery, then we're not going to support it because gaming knows it's the only way gaming can get into Alabama is if it comes in on the backside of the lottery. And so anytime they strip anything but a lottery out, you'll always see the gaming and sports betting industry come in against it. And then they'll come in as Christian councils or Christian coalitions is how they'll look, but that's their goal. Yeah. And I mean, I get it. I think if it were responsible people, you know, we knew we weren't taking away from the less fortunate. And I'm not God. I can't make people's decision for them. But, you know, I just feel like there's other things we can do in Alabama by cutting taxes, growing our economic development, bettering our education to, you know, provide for a better society. But, you know, I'm just one of 35 in the Senate, so we'll see.
And Senator Carney hit on a couple of very important things, and that is, where does the money go? And that is always the contention with any bill, is how is the money going to be distributed? And everybody is fighting for it. And that's where a lot of contention comes in. The other thing is, he mentioned this, a lot of the opposition is not from inside the state, it's actually from Mississippi and Las Vegas and Nevada. That doesn't want gambling in the state. It's really not from inside the state. The Porch Creek Indians have a lot of opposition to it because of what Senator Conley said about it doesn't have the gambling aspect. It doesn't help them, but actually right now they have a monopoly. And why create competition? You know, I have this very thing.
I'd like to Mayor Cooper, anything from you or any questions you may have or comments?
Well, you know, of course, they've been working with us on Highway 167, trying to formulate it up to the health officer, and then even one further to Dollar General. But now they have built they are building a truck terminal over there, so we got to work to try to do something with that intersection because it's already dangerous as it is. And with trucks coming out of the industrial park as well as up and down that highway, it's really going to be something that's got to be considered, as well as on that 27 Fulton Gate
Yes, sir.
coming up that hill from Ozark. That's another thing. Of course, you got a traffic light thing gonna come up there in June. That's another thing.
Anything else? Mayor Maddox, any comments?
Other than just the fact that these guys have been supportive ever since I've been mayor of the things that we've been trying to get done in Toma and Coffee County. I think they're very supportive of the County. They both live here. They have an interest, they have family members here, and they're looking out after our interests. And I appreciate the job that they do in Montgomery.
Thank you, Mayor.
Just real quick, I'd like to thank the two mayors for showing up because I think Brockton being in the middle here, anything that Enterprise or Elba can come up with to help our partnership and help the relationship between the two cities, we'd be very open to advance any thoughts or comments. I know we're working with the WDC here, and I think some of the items they have will help both cities. So any other comments? We will open it up to the floor. Anybody else attending the meeting wish to ask any questions or make some comments?
I'd like to add something onto what they said. Somebody back there?
Go ahead.
I thought I heard you say that driver's license would no longer be accepted as a form of ID for voting.
Foreign driver's license.
A
So
foreign
like if
driver's
somebody
license.
comes from another country and they can get a temporary ID here, they can even go to our registrars and get a voter ID. But what it is we've got so many that are, you can, I don't know, I wish it, well, I don't wish it. I'm glad it wasn't around when I was 16. You can get online and order an Alabama driver's license from China that comes in. It looks just like a real driver's license. So it's just an effort to try to make sure those people that are qualified voters, we're not trying to, deny anybody the right to vote, but we're just saying, hey, you just get the proper ID and you vote. But if you've got an Alabama driver's license, you're good. And you don't have to have star ID, just a regular driver's license. Oh, I think he had one.
Well, I just want to point out that one point that they made was that we're not going to be successful as a county, and New Brockton's not going to be successful. Elba Enterprise, if we don't work together, that's the only thing that we can do because we are a small rural area. When I grew up, every town was competitive with the other one because a lot of us at that time still played one another in sports, right? But I was born in Elba. My dad was born in Elba. My brother was born in Kinston. I lived in New Brockton. I lived in Enterprise. So to me, all of Coffee County is my home. And I kind of felt like that's where we were going until I ran for office. And I've got parts of New Brockton, parts of Elba, Zion Chapel, and I realize there's still a lot of people that are still have the idea that we should be competitive with one another. So one of the most important things that they said was that we have got to work together in the same direction as a group to get some things done that we want to get done, some things we want from the state or federal grants or whatever. The other thing I want to make you guys, I'm sure that Ron has probably already talked to y'all about, but funding for our fire departments. A lot of people don't know that funding for fire departments has always been tied to tobacco tax money. Obviously, not many people are smoking now. We're working with the Attorney General's office to try to get some clarification on whether things like vapes or Zen pouches, if that tax money, I think the bill that's in place now says something of like kind. I think those things are like kind. If we don't get a favorable answer from the Attorney General's office, if we put forth a bill that would clarify that and take the tax money from vapes and those products and give them to our fire departments, would y'all help us in support?
Yeah. And we talked to Rod about that because I think they were in the process, but then there was an opinion that came from the Attorney General's office that believed that the current law allows the counties to collect based on the definitions. But we've had a few counties that have gone out and said, hey, and they passed legislation 2 years ago and this past year saying that they can collect it. But there was hopes that the Attorney General would rule in favor so all 67 counties could do it without passing 67 local pieces of legislation. But yeah, and matter of fact, Covington County had one, but it didn't get passed this time because it got hung up the last few days and it ran out of time. So but yeah, anything we can do to help, we'll be glad, or I'll be glad to.
Oh,
I can't speak for it, but I think we will.
yeah. And that's one thing that, and we've talked about it to your point, Clint. And Josh and I, when we talk to groups, you hear it a lot, but it's something that I think is very important. And it's to your point. We are very unique in the Wiregrass. our delegation works extremely well with each other. The other representatives in the House and the senators, we are very close. We talk a lot. Our wives like each other. We go places together. It is not like that in other parts of the state. It's just not. And we won't get into it because Ricky Stokes is here to take for this, so we're not going to, and Michelle's here. So, but the Wiregrass is unique in that, and we do work very well together. And to your point, I moved here in 2000, and it was silos. Enterprise was, didn't want Elba to have something, and Elba didn't want Enterprise, and Dothan didn't want Enterprise, whatever. It's not like that as much that I see anymore. And I think it does have the fact, it does help that the delegation works so well together. And we worked with, Josh was a county commissioner, I was a city council person, so we understand the ins and outs of how local legislation works and how working with the state officials and the federal officials is beneficial to everybody.
Hold on, let me get to
My thing, when it comes to education, when y'all get into that field, you fight against education. 2%, about that 2%, it come out to be about maybe $100. They're gonna tax it. Education is great, but you got to give something. A lot of them leave where we go, work in Eva, and go across to Florida somewhere and start working. Because I say the Eva is the training ground. When they get that experience, they go.
Yeah.
So you got to give us something to people to stay here.
And I, without getting too deep in the weeds, our education budgets are built mostly on sales tax. That's what gets the lion's share. It even affects our county budgets are the same way. So when you go pay sales tax, don't think they're paving roads with it. Probably 90% of it goes on, for education. It doesn't stay for, infrastructure things. But, I think, we've tried to be conservative. People want you to go out there and slash a budget, and I'm for that. But I think we have to be conservative because we are coming out of some of probably the best economic times financially that we've had. So our budgets have been inflated, and our goal is to make sure we don't get ourselves out too far and do it too quickly, and then you have to go into proration. So I think if our budgets can sustain with population growth, with our economy staying where it's at, I think, we can do more in education and, cut back on more taxes. I understand. I don't think we're hurting in education.
I think the teachers, though, because we're not fight for a raise.
And we did. We gave one this year, and we got one last year.
Tax stuff, this year.
But we can always do more. I tell folks, everybody's got a lot of great ideas. The biggest thing is just all cost money. And it's kind of contrary because people say, well, I want to pay less in tax, but I want you to give me more benefits. And it's hard to balance that.
And one more thing, I'm a husband. When you all get a raise, if y'all look at your news sometimes, they get raises up in that represent the Senate, how they vote themselves a raise.
Exactly.
And then wait a minute, I listen to that news too.
We don't get a say. They do it all.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Tell them how our pay is.
Actually, this happened back before Senator Carnley and I were in Montgomery. There was a constitutional amendment in 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly when. There was a constitutional amendment to tie the senators and the representatives' pay to the median average of Alabamians. So we don't vote for ourselves raises. It's based on the ebbs and flows of the median home income. Thank you. And so that's.
It can go down.
It can go down.
The Alabama household income goes down, it goes down. I couldn't even tell you what mine is because I didn't run for it for the money.
That's right.
And it's.
No, it's not that. I'm not concerned about about people in general.
Yeah.
It's my concern.
Well, that's where the tax cuts come in. You try to alleviate the taxes so people can have more money to spend more money or save it however they want to do it. So.
My comment was really to tell what Representative Marcus said just a minute ago. we have two superstars right there. And what he was right about saying, what their delegation in the Wiregrass, and you, Michelle, I think you've been there. Mayor Cooper's been there, I know. Mayor Maddox, I don't know if you have, but the Wiregrass Board, Chuck and I take you with us one Friday, the last Friday of the month. These two guys, along with Senator Chastain from over in Geneva County, Paul Lee from Houston County, Paramore from up in Pike County. We have the closest delegation, and they're the best bunch of leaders. Really, I'm just glad I live in Wiregrass. But we've got two superstars right there, really do. So, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, I got a comment. Well, a lot of y'all didn't know it, but we passed some legislation this year. Y'all guys did it locally for us. And I got 3 of the 4 mayors here, so I want to go on public record so I can honestly tell them why we passed this bill. So we had a bill passed this year so that the sheriff's department, if we have to take over a town's law enforcement, and I'm sitting here honestly telling y'all, I'm not soliciting for the business. We can enforce local ordinances. We couldn't do that before. So if we have to take one over in emergency purposes only, Dale, I'm not here to take over a town. We had to get the laws in place that we can enforce your local ordinances. We couldn't before, so we can now. But I'm going on record to tell y'all that I'm not here soliciting your police department. That ain't why we did this. I got 1 mayor left here. The Kinston mayor's not here. I need to tell him. So I'm seizing this opportunity to tell y'all that we're not here to take over your police departments. We're just paving the road if emergency something happens, that we can enforce your local ordinances. If we can do the state ordinances, fine. We just couldn't do your noise ordinance and your dogs and stuff like that. I just want to go on record while everybody can hear and say, we're not here to take you over, we're here to help you. So we can help you if we have to. Thank you.
Can I touch on that, Mr. Bird?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. I just want to clarify, when you mentioned that about the dogs, does that mean now that you guys can take over animal control?
No. You still got a contract with me. You can do that. No. You still have your own police force. We didn't pass any county orders, nothing like that. No, ma'am. It's just if Mayor Cooper decides we got to take over his town, which we will never do, that we can enforce his local ordinances. Sheriff Department. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, animal control, while we're on that topic, where can we get to with that? Just some clarification on how to get that established for a small community.
Well,
like
let
this.
me add in on that. Right under animal control, because I've talked to Rod Morgan, the county is looking to possibly contract with Elba. That's in the works. One of the things that I was going to talk about earlier, the county is looking to help us financially. Any invoices we receive from either Elba or any place else that we take dogs, they will reimburse us at this time. And that's going to go before the county commission tomorrow, I think. So we are working with the county commission to see how are they going to go forward, either with a facility of their own or to try to contract it out. That is in the works.
Can y'all provide any clarity on?
I can't give any clarity because we haven't talked about that as a group yet. That's scheduled for us to do tomorrow. However, we do realize that it is an issue. It is something that we're going to have to address. One thing I want the citizens to realize too is most of us are averse to raising taxes. We don't want to raise your taxes. Also, the county is an extension of the state, and we don't have the authority to just add a sales tax. Cities can add a sales tax, but we can't. So when we start looking at what we can actually afford to pay for without deficit spending, we have to be careful because we can't just change the sales tax if we run short or have a budget shortfall. So we're going to do everything we can to address this problem as best we can over time.
So do y'all have any funds available now to assist us in our need that we have now?
It would have to be something that is put in our budget moving forward. We're about to start our budgeting process, working on that.
Like I say, Mr. Morgan is going to approach the council tomorrow
with our request to cover those expenses that we had in the last 2 months. We had a large number, 16 dogs that went to Elba. They were housed for a period of time. We had to have one dog euthanized, and that cost money because of the euthanization was due to rabies. So that's a fee there. But he is going to approach your commission tomorrow to see if he can help us with that.
Well, back to what the sheriff talked about, we approved that measure to get that, and Rod actually wrote that bill for us to give them the ability to enforce those ordinances. So as a county commission, what we're trying to do is be proactive. Not that there is an issue today with that, but there is clearly an issue with this, but we're trying to be as proactive as we can to get ahead of all of these kind of problems so that we're support for every town.
You guys remember, I came to your county commission meeting about 8 months ago about this very issue, right?
Well, I wasn't on the commission then, so I don't remember.
About dogs?
About the county providing a dog facility to bring stray dogs to, in accordance with the state rabies statute. And some issues came to light. For the longest time, we were under the impression that the Elba Pound was the state facility. And then we found out that that wasn't the case. And I talked to Rob Morgan myself on several occasions about this very subject. And there was a lot of things. The last thing that he told me personally, and I don't know if this has changed since, but the permanent fix was supposed to be you all subsidizing further the Elba City Pound's budget to expand that facility and make that the county facility for all the municipalities that are less than 5,000 people, which is what the statute provides for.
And I don't want to put words in Rod's mouth, but I think that's the line we're going to pursue tomorrow.
Basically that's what I'm saying. They're working on a contract, working with Elba to see how that can be worked out in the future. And that's basically the same thing you told me here last week or today. I can't remember when I talked to you. Yes. But it's something that's going to come up in discussion and negotiations.
We'll do what's right.
We absolutely, which is one of the reasons I'm glad you guys did this tonight. We should do this more often because we really should be working closer together with one another, and we should be working closer together with the public. We've got to solve these issues as an entire community.
When I went to y'all's commission meeting a while back, I brought it up about having at least one or two of the town council going to your meetings, every time you have them. The problem is a lot of the meetings that you guys have are in the middle of the workday. And pretty much all of us sitting up here, with the exception of the mayor, we all work full-time jobs. So having a county commission meeting in the middle of the day, unless we take time off from work, how are we supposed to get the time to get there? Had them in the evening, it would be a different story. But it's hard for us to have regular participation in the county's meetings when you have them in the middle of the day. That's the one issue that I see. But I would love for that to happen. I'm totally a proponent of that.
Let me address the animal control officer business. By state law, the county should have an animal control officer. That should not be delegated to any town. Enterprise has its own. We have our own. And sometimes we're short-handed and sometimes we're full. And if we were to agree to the county to expand our, we're going to have another employee. We're going to have more space. And we're not advocating for that. We're not voting for that. And I don't know that the city commission or city council is going to get in favor of that. I can't speak for the city council.
All I was saying from Mr. Morgan's perspective is that he was talking about negotiations happening in the future.
We can talk about how we can do it. Maybe these gentlemen have an idea too of how they can help us with this.
Let me ask the sheriff, have you ever been involved in this? Sheriff?
We don't have a leash law in the county, so we don't provide the animal control officer. To my knowledge, the county is by law supposed to provide a facility. And they are working on that right now. I can honestly tell you that.
Yeah.
They've got 2 plans they're working on, and something will happen. You will have a facility to take your dog.
The problem we have, Sheriff, is I broached it, like I said, I broached this subject with the county 8 or 9 months ago. And here we are 9 months later, and we really haven't made any progress. And the issue that we have is, if this is going to be a solution that, you know, comes to be 2 or 3 years down the road, we still have all that time in between where we're kind of between a rock and a hard place because we don't have the resources we need.
Come to the work session tomorrow, these guys will discuss it, Rod can get us updated. I thought we were in a different pattern, but I'm gonna let Rod Morgan talk more about that. But I thought we had legitimate plans in the future.
What time is the, well, like I said, the last meeting I had with Rod, which was probably 4 or 5 months ago.
No, we've had different discussions since.
You came to a county meeting?
I sure did.
The work session's at
1:30 tomorrow.
So, let's,
I apologize for the sore subject.
No, these are exactly the kind of subjects that we should be talking about. These are problems that we've got to work out. Everybody's budget is thin, but we've got to solve the problem. So this is exactly what we should be doing.
I will try to break away tomorrow to make sure I can get it.
do you have a, Councilman Atkins?
I do have one issue that's been a problem for the citizens here, and I don't know if it's for the county, for the state, but out Highway 122 going out toward the elementary school, during school, when school's in, that road gets gridlocked because there's no turning lane. And it's difficult for, like, if any emergency vehicle had to get down there to a citizen or whatever. And we've never really got any resolution on that. So where would be the start point on getting traction on some type of
A county engineer.
Yes.
Yeah, he would have
We'll talk to him.
Is that a county road or?
No, it's a state road.
So I know, but
Go through
it's
that.
city limits.
It's in the city limits.
I'd have to see exactly where the city limits stop, but I think it's in the city limits.
What we would need to do with that is, and I know Mayor has, and I have talked about this, yes ma'am. We've actually got a grant at the end right now for HRO 2. That would be a good, because that is a safety issue. And that would be a good, if we don't win this one, that would be another good one to look into, to try to get a grant for that.
Under safety.
Under safety, yes, sir.
I believe the answer Kathy was given when Kathy was here, there's a house there in front of the school. And you have to have so many feet for a turning lane. And that house is in the way of there being able to be a turning lane there.
Yeah, and I got it, but what we
Going
need
up
is
for
a
sale.
solution. What, we need somebody to help us with the solution.
I know.
Regardless of.
But when
Mike
I go to
Ward.
work, I can't even go home. I got to see, how many cars are allowed to park on the state road? And sometimes it's all the way up to the four-way stop.
We'll go back to the county engineers and Alajah.
Yes. And they try to work on the plan.
The area for what we discussed. What you mentioned was the new intersections going on at Roberts and 180 and 84, and I think it's
514.
514. Yes, and those projects are going forward, and they were approved because of safety, if I'm not mistaken. And probably another year before they break ground.
And I'll say this back to the council or to the commission, generally when we ask, I mean, we'll help with the funding and stuff, but we're gonna ask that you bring a solution to us or help us, like, because right-of-way acquisition is a very, very sensitive subject, and you wanna step on people's personal rights, you start telling them you're gonna take their property, and then that's when it gets really out of control. And so, I mean, I think that's a discussion that the local government needs to work with their constituents, and if those people are willing to say, yeah, I'll sell that property, I think it makes it easier for us to, I mean, we can find funds, but we definitely, I would depend on you guys to come and say, hey, we need a turn lane there, and then at that point, we can start to work with the county and with the state DOT to come down and investigate. We've had them come to Enterprise on some safety projects to bring their engineers down to draw out plans. So, and we can do that, but it's hard to just sit them down here and say, what do we do? Tell us what the issues are and what you think solutions would be, and then they can help us draft up some ideas for you.
I guess that's what we would need, when you're dealing with helicopter pilots.
Well, I want to touch back on what Sonny said is one of our best assets we got for all of us is our county engineer. Michael Waltrip is very, very knowledgeable, and he has a lot of people willing to help him and work with him. What the mayor mentioned about these two dangerous intersections here on 84, we submitted something and he did an enormous amount of work to try to get funds for that, and we got turned down. The state wasn't going to give us money. So he came up with a different solution and a different route for some different funding, and ended up 4 months later getting me the money approved, and that project's going to take place in 2026. So Sonny's right. We really need to get him involved in that conversation, and he can help remove some obstacles.
Well, right now, we got approved to have lighting on 84 in 3 different intersections. It costs $100,000 for the breakaway lights and all that. $100,000 per intersection. So we can add that to our goals and our plans. We just need the funding now. We're a small town. We can't fork out $100,000 per intersection. But you see that people are steady getting killed at these intersections they haven't reached.
Get a loan from Enterprise.
I wish it was that easy. We try to go through our county to help get us that loan. But we
And they're gonna help you some.
Yeah. We need all that. So that's what we're working on now.
And we did, and I'll say this, we get a lot from Coffee County of projects, because you got to think, with 84, 167. So there's a lot of funding out there, and they try to prioritize and spread it out. So, I mean, it's hard because you do have a lot of issues that are here, but so does Kinston and Elba. And so we try to make sure that we spread it out. And sometimes that means you get one this year, and maybe 2 or 3 years, because we're just trying to spread them around. But we definitely have worked and got the A-Trip application this year. Be glad to try to wrote letters of support for them to try to help out.
And I don't know, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he submitted 2 packets, and like you said with the Grantham, the first 2 packets were turned down, and he had submitted the second packet on the assumption the first one would get turned down, and the second packet was submitted because of safety. And they were both approved.
Yeah, they rank them based on safety and how many accidents and the traffic count. So there's
That
a lot
Allentown
of
representative has done a great service for us.
Yeah.
Any other comments from anybody else in the audience? What I'd like to do is take about 10 minutes. We're going to continue with our council meeting, but our guests, you'll be free to depart if you wish, because we're just going to go on with regular business and take a couple minutes to take a break.
Thank y'all for having us.
Thank you very much.
See you
Appreciate it.
Anytime you need us.
Well, I'm joking. Yeah, see you in the morning. See you.
I am going to try to break my
Need a
All right, appreciate
Good to see
We just need a facility. We just need a facility to break down. My politics very much. I'm an action guy. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. You know, and if that means I got to take my own time and use my own stuff to do, which I've done around here. That's what I'm saying. I can do it. I did. What you got? I didn't let it slow me down. I missed one, but it was because I was interested when they were having it. I shut up here whenever I can. Okay. We don't have a lot of business. You know, and we don't visit a lot of these businesses. Like, well, what do you have? I'll make sure you can risk a $4,200 to $4,300 a month for a big spending project. So and we run into most of the people, I don't think, probably a handful, you know, spend their money here locally. They either go to Elbow, or they go to Enterprise.
There's just a lot of plans out there. You just got to figure out who wants to execute and what's going on. The county is going to help. I think Brad says he doesn't see any opportunities to help us with the funding. You know, when we have to something at your facility, we'll be able to pay you, and they'll be able to reimburse us. The money isn't that large, but it's still something that we need on our side of the house.
Still gotta work. I'll try to see
If you think about it, we're talking about
I'm gonna try to be there tomorrow, so I'll probably see you.
That money was approved by the legislature. We approved that. Matter of fact, we just did a supplemental this time. But we're the ones that appropriates the funds.
We haven't solved some of these problems. And my whole point, we have to work against against school. That's all we need.
There's a lot of it that went to.
Well, how we do?
I'm saying, I'm not that old.
I think there was some.
I thought you wanted
But we, to answer your question, she used on regional. So
It's not people.
There's a lot of okay, those people, there is they'll say that we're going to get a house going to do this, but it's not true. It's just not true. It's not true. Matter of fact, I'm the one who passed the bill and
All right.
To the Secretary of State's website, there's a website that is public that shows how much money we received, how much money we spent. And yes, it has to tell, and the only time that is not the case is if you get less than $100 cash, but even then, I still put the name on the Secretary of State's website. Yeah, and there's a form there that says campaign, and it's a public website, but it will tell you who Josh, who everybody has got receipts from individuals and how much. Chris said. But if you come up with a bill that you're talking about, I would be happy to discuss it with you, but I haven't voted against it. That group said that I was against something that never even came up. So it's kind of, oh yeah, oh no, trust me, I got little pamphlets too. But it's not, but it wasn't true because we never voted.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll take care.
Okay. We can fit in the road.
Continue with the agenda. We have a review of the minutes from May 5th to start with.
25th minutes. Second.
Yes.
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 Mayor, if I could ask a question on the public comments on Miss D's 313 South Dawkins, is that resolved?
What line, where are you looking at?
61.
61. Hold on. As far as I understood, yeah, that one has been picked up. We did a number of areas across the town in the last week. So if it isn't, I'll check on it tomorrow. But as far as I know, that one got picked up. As we're passing the minutes down.
Did I miss it?
We're looking at the minutes of 12 May.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
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 And again, as those minutes are being passed down, please look at 19 May.
So moved on the 19th of May.
Second.
Yes.
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 This is the not under old business, but I've got a couple of things I'll just bring up here in mayor's comments. We do have, under new business, we received we went to, actually in the last 3 weeks, we went to open up the concession stand at the park. And when we turned the water back on, we found problems in the building with running water and a couple other services that needed to be repaired. We had a $100 inspection fee, and Goolsby has come back with a $895 fee to replace faucets, faucet kits, some sinks, and a jet, clean the sewer line basically.
So are you saying when it was installed incorrectly because
No,
that
no.
was in the new?
Some of the vandalism that took place last year, it's wear and tear yet. We did close it during the winter months because of freezing, but when we turned the water back on, there were problems. So I'm sort of informing you that I think we need to. I was gonna call Goofy and have them execute, so we can keep, with the camera system, I think we can keep it open longer, but it still needs to be able to service the public. $895. I don't know if we need a motion, but I'm just gonna have to call Goofy and do it. I'll let you know what's happening with the park.
Are the parks that cameras functional, we're
Yes.
able to monitor it?
Yes. we go forward and look at the bills. Eric and Courtney have tried to put this into a format. We're still working it. I'm suggesting that we go to a legal size paper. We're gonna go try to see if we can print this out on what, an 8.5 by 11s. We may have to fold it into the book, whatever, but get it where it's readable.
I like it much better. Where you can see it all? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very small. We'd like to get it a little larger, maybe a larger piece of paper, and then put it in the book with a fold or something.
A question on just clarity on the administrative department salaries. Do they double? Okay.
We're talking about the month of May. We had 3 pay periods this month, or for the month of May. That's why.
Thank you.
Instead of our usual 2.
So do we include that in the budget? Just for clarity.
Well, it would have been the same amount of paychecks, though.
Yes.
We would have figured in that amount of paychecks.
So we'll have 3 pay periods in what, each quarter?
No, it's the only month of the whole year that we had 3 pay periods. All the others are just 2 months, like 2 times.
Should have done bills. Oh, no, bills. Oh, good.
Yes. Don't try. Don't tell me.
I'm so excited.
Is there a reason why our water and sewer went up so much? So I'm like 56, it's showing 288. Wait, what am I on the wrong thing?
The blue is the inventory.
The one that's got everything fit on one side. Is that what it's supposed to be? Really all of it. Okay, perfect. So the water and sewage account is showing that the bill is normally like $56. Oh wait, yeah, $56, and it's showing $288. If I'm where I'm supposed to be.
That was at the park. Where, we had the women's toilets fixed.
And also the toilets, or both bathrooms.
That's right. Yep.
Was there some issue with the time card clocks again? I see $449 for pyramid.
Those are the maintenance agreements.
Okay. How often does that come up?
That's just once a year.
Once a year. Thanks, sir.
For the legal fees, if we have something bigger than normal come up,
We've got,
it's usually 200 and it's showing that it was 800 this time.
trying to think what document. Yes, we had, right off the top of my head, I can't think of the document that I had him work on.
Senior department. Senior department. And we had the contract.
Oh, we had, yeah, there was a new contract that was written.
Was $800?
Oh, yeah. I'm waiting for the next bill to come through because he's working for the police department.
We need a cheaper attorney.
Are you kidding?
Yes, I'm serious.
To make a suggestion to the format here, can we add like line numbers? Is there any way we could do like line numbers, so like if you had something you wanted to address everybody real quick, you could just say line item?
We frankly did put the line numbers on there,
I
absolutely.
think that'd be a little
Well,
faster.
and like I was telling them, is it looks like the administration report's the only one that's printed like that, all the way across like we're talking about. These kind of, you've got to go back to what we were doing previously, just lay it all out.
Okay.
But to get that new paper maybe will be more successful next time.
You can play with that.
Play a little bit more.
I will say, even though this is tiny, I love this. Like, it's, that's,
Yes, you did.
I mean, it's got like a magnifying glass this time too.
I mean, I can see it. Maybe y'all all need to go to the eye doctor. I don't know, I can read it. If y'all all just say, I will. I love it, I can read it.
We have one motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
We're waiting for a comment.
Okay.
Yes.
You wanna wait? Yes.
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 Next item on there, garbage report. I'm sorry, what did I say? Oh, credit card statements, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get her all worked up over there.
I'm usually 10 steps ahead of you.
On this first page, it has Hardee's.
I authorized the clerk and one of the maintenance guys, they drove to Montgomery to purchase filing cabinets for how much a piece?
$20 a piece.
$20 a piece, and they went up early in the morning and came back a little after lunch, and I said they could grab a bite to eat, since they were traveling on city business.
Oh, is this the credit card stack? I'm still looking for what I'm supposed to be looking for. This?
Yeah,
Okay.
somebody, the one that says, yeah, there's a couple burgers is what they bought.
the Amazon Marketplace payments?
The one Amazon for $69.27. I'm not sure what that one was. We couldn't find.
Every time I order something off of Amazon, I print the invoice and hand it to Eric, but I know I had to, I don't know what this, their, battery.
Well, that's right.
There was a battery. I don't remember what it was for though.
So was that the transaction amount for $69 for the battery?
It was for the cameras and the issue box.
So that's what it's for? Right.
The camera by itself was $88.
Right. No, that's different. Oh, never mind, that's good.
And the camera purchase should be from April. It should have been in April stuff.
That's already been in there.
Yeah, that's pretty fast.
And I'm sorry, Eric, I just wanna, again, we've got 2 transactions for those. What are those for, the street department?
Those are the street department. That last one I tabled it to prepare for today. About a week.
Weed killer, a sprayer, a blade for the trimmer.
Well, that's all great. That's good investments for the rest of the town too.
So moving forward, can we itemize who's purchasing what they're purchasing? In my mind, it just makes it cleaner on accounting purposes. You know, if we have an audit, me looking at hard at 1785, I need to know that it was mayor and chief, or clerk, and
Is there a document for that?
should be
There's
something.
there's a term for it. Most people.
Itemization.
Purchase order.
Trip report.
Yeah.
Or a purchase order?
Itemization on what we got going on.
Well, that's good for liability too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm backing up. So the $69 was for a battery or not for a battery?
I don't remember what it was for exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was for a battery for the exits, one of the exit signs somewhere. But it's all printed out in a file.
We'll get you an answer.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments on the credit card statement?
That's good. I'll make a motion to approve credit card statements.
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 And the next time.
Now, Ms. Gracie.
Okay. Your first page is your actuals for May. We billed out for the garbage $10,480, and we had total receivables, which include late fees, and past due balances of $14,607. If you'll notice, the amount of accounts in delinquents went down, however, the amount went up. We did cut off 18 accounts, and that will all show in your very last pages there, but I'll get to that in a second. Meridian didn't send me the preliminary bill that I asked for this morning until end of business this afternoon, after I had already printed these out. And my billing over here, the $9,529.66, was an estimation on my math. They actually billed us $9,517.62. So we're a little bit better on that one than originally anticipated. The second page is your projections for June. They're fairly identical to the first page, because you're not sure what you're going to get until you get it. Your third page is what we took in for all the month of May. And we took in a total of $11,583 with 453 transactions. This last page is more specifically, I did the best I could with what I had on hand as far as what you asked for, Alan. The ones in green are the ones that have delinquents that have paid. If the amount on the left side is in red, they were cut off. If the amount on the left side is red, or their account number is red, but the amount is not red, they're still living there, but they have not come in to settle up their account yet. But their cans have been removed. And I have notated out on the side the dates that everyone for each account paid. And I'm hoping that is going to be good for what you needed.
No, that looks good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Crazy question. How did you get the total receivables? How did you get that number on the May billing?
So when I send the bills off to the printer every month, it gives me a grand total. It tells you what you actually bill out for your garbage every month, and then at the end, the total receivables has your delinquents included into it. Because if you'll see, your the total receivables for May was 14,000. We only billed out 10,048. And there's just over 5,000 or almost 6,000 in delinquents. So, and a lot of those are 30 days in delinquent, so it's not a super delinquency.
I have a request. I don't know if it would be something you would handle or if the mayor would handle it, but I would like to see a calendar of holidays for when Meridian is not going to be working. Because apparently today,
Today, Meridian, their truck broke down en route. I was gonna ask if anybody, supposedly he sent the second truck in the afternoon, but he's not aware. I mean, I was able to get a hold of the new contact. He was not aware that that truck ever made town, and they will be back here first thing in the morning.
okay.
Yeah, you're right. I was gonna basically ask, anybody see the garbage can at all today? I mean, I saw the garbage can.
I saw mine, they're both full.
See, the new contact thought the truck was supposed to be coming after lunch, and when I told him we had not seen it, he was sort of surprised that they did not do that. He says it should be here in the morning.
Still would be nice to have something showing holidays for them though.
We can do that.
Yeah, and I was thinking, you can just post it on the website where anybody
Or
can see
even,
it.
you can even print it on your garbage bill.
They do almost all holidays except Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Memorial Day. Basically every other holiday they pick up. So
I
we'll
was-
get that list.
I was just concerned because Councilman Flowers brought up Jefferson Davis' birthday today, which is a state holiday that I was completely unaware of. And it doesn't show on any normal federal holiday calendar, so I was like,
And many places did not close today.
yeah, I don't know many places that do.
No, county. But that's, yes, if we don't see a truck in the morning, I'll be on the phone again.
Thanks, Mayor.
I'll get those dates.
Hey, Justin, if you'd like to come by, I'll show you, because I have those printed out and I keep them.
Next item, any questions on garbage? Next item, anything, the clerk has nothing. The fire department did not have a representative this evening. He brought his, he sent us his report. You can see the structure fires, fire alarms, vehicle fires, grass woods, medical assist, and miscellaneous. 55 events were handled by our volunteer fire department.
Wow.
Is there a reason why?
I didn't get a reason why there's no.
Because
I called.
Has a reason right here, I'll tell you, is a report for you can get a response.
That's why he could not be here. I asked about a representative like they had at our last meeting, and we did not get an answer back.
Yeah, because that's a sore spot with me, that he can show up here when he wants to ask for money, but he can't show up here and read the report.
No. I asked for a rep and we didn't get an answer.
I almost don't understand, just because that's a volunteer situation. I mean, they don't have to do that. They're volunteering their time, so I don't feel like it's really right that we require them to be here when they're volunteering their time to do this for us. So I don't feel like it's necessary that they be here, personally.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. I feel differently.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
just
We
want
have-
my opinion
We have the opinion.
stated.
Police Department report, please.
Month of May, 5 speeding, 2 drivers suspended, 2 expired tags, 1 insurance violation, 3 runs on a stop sign, 1 off foot route, 1 theft accident, 1 theft of pocket with firearm, fireman has been found and returned back to normal. Domestic violence, 1 arrest communications, 1 harassment, and 1 sexual and 1 forgery.
Which one? Oh, yeah. Which one? Okay, that note. Senior Center, please.
Okay, we opened with $2,334.60. Our income was $1,067.35. Expense was $731.58, with vehicle expense being $1,041.24. We put 4 new tires on the van and had it tuned up. So that leaves us $1,629.13. The craft account, we deposited $350 for rentals. We paid the checks, $30.95, which leaves us a balance of $4,910.47. And I asked the guy to come out and give us an estimate on doors, but he came and measured now, but he has not gotten back with me yet.
Okay.
Okay, and what I was gonna tell you is that I've had several people ask me not to leave and would I consider. So I will come back 1 day a week and make sure that all the paperwork is correct for Sarcoa, is sent to them on time, and the accounting is done. Well, we can run Glenda at her 30 hours a week, Leroy at 25, a new hire at 25, and we will save $75 a week, plus all the benefits that I got, because only Glenda will qualify to have any of the county benefits. She doesn't need the insurance, but the annual leave and sick leave. The senior center was closed once before because Sarcoa was not getting the correct paperwork on time. So y'all can kick this around and vote on it if you want me to come back 1 day a week and make sure everything's correct. I will. You can decide and let me know.
Ms. Faye, do you have like a train-the-trainer thing too, for eventually you'll be able to hand this off?
Yes, Glenda knows how to do all the daily work, and she knows part of the weekly. But it takes several months to get all the month. And then when you end the year, we have to write plans and all for the next year, besides all the financial of closing the year and reopening it. And I do eventually, because she is partially trained.
Mayor, what are your current plans as of now?
We are gonna advertise the opening position, one on the webpage and two with the, I can't think of the people over there, the,
Same place we advertised for
for the
the
clerk.
clerk. I don't, was it Job Works?
Job Works over there on the Circle and Enterprise. We need to advertise, look for resumes, determine the resumes, and select somebody. Sarcoa does come in and do training.
2 days, 2 times, about 4 hours. She is only training how to put into the computer. New people, there's a lot that never gets covered.
Well, they do come out, and I'm not sure what is covered in the training, but I was assured they come out and train a new senior center manager. I mean, obviously, they don't want to see the manager fail. But yes, we are advertising for a job position.
We're going to, or we are?
No, we're going to this week. It's going in to this job site and on our webpage. She gave me a updated job description last week. We have a job description from Sarcoa. We're going to publish it. Look for with a cutoff date, probably within the next 3 weeks.
So we're looking for somebody to fill her spot.
In the space position.
So what it sounds like to me, it sounds like Ms. Faye is trying to offer us a succession plan
It saves us $75.
that saves us $75 per week. And in her succession plan is to promote Glenda into her role for it to seamlessly transition from one to another. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what you're hearing.
So the new hire would be under, so you're looking for somebody to fill Ms.
We
Faye's
have
spot.
to, the
Linda.
position that is open is Ms. Faye's position.
Well,
You don't,
then
you don't
Linda
automatically move up into a position.
Well, I don't know why. It has always been.
No, that hasn't always been.
Yes, it has.
I
You
would
will not
just
be.
consider the value that Ms. Linda can bring to the table, and now we can see our citizens and learning from Ms. Faye. Ms. Faye, I think you're a tremendous asset as well. But I would highly consider the value that she brings to the table and the amount of training that she's already has to offer into, and a working relationship with someone. You know what I mean? That's what I would definitely consider moving forward with that
And
advertisement.
we also, Linda is going out June 14th for back, not June 19th for back surgery. She will be out 4 to 6 weeks. And we need another person in there to assist, because if I'm sick and I have to be out, or Leroy has to be out, one person can't do both jobs.
So we technically only got 2 weeks to bring somebody in and to get them onboarded properly.
So our code, you can train someone.
Well, we can start them with the food part. That's what, where you start is learning how to serve the food, receive the food, and food safety, and from there up.
So on the you offering the so many hours a week.
I would do 5 to 10 hours, and the saving $75 was figured on 10 hours a week.
So you're volunteering your time.
No, I will be paid.
Keep in
You're
mind,
dreaming.
keep in mind when the employees go up, so does the workman's comp too.
What?
When the workman's comp goes up.
With more employees, the workman's comp goes up, because you have to provide them with workman's comp if they hurt themselves.
So if
Always, any company.
So I don't know if it's really gonna save the $75.
And anybody can apply.
so what are you advertising for? Are you advertising?
Senior Center Director,
So you want Ms. Linda to go through the process of applying?
that's correct. I don't think you automatically move up. I
So
think any position,
I'm aligned with going through the protocol. I'm just thinking about, we got our new fiscal year coming up that we need to be prepared for. So what is onboarding gonna look like for a brand new person coming in a director position? What does that look like? Can we properly, seamlessly go through a brand new fiscal year, budgeting X, Y, and Z, and them doing everything as a director right into a new fiscal year?
I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
I don't see why a new person will be able to.
We have to see what kind of people you apply for the position.
I feel like that's pretty hard. I feel like employees are pretty hard to come by these days. I mean, obviously, we don't know what all the job entails. Because, I mean, we don't know what Ms. Faye has to do from a day-to-day basis. But I would think if somebody had never dealt with Sarcoa, that's probably pretty hard to onboard them to get, you have to write reports for grants and all kind of stuff, right?
I don't write grants, but we have to make outreach plans, we have to do the budget, and it has to be approved by Sarcoa.
So Mayor, what is your plans on sustaining Ms. Faye on her 10 hours a week?
I don't know, that's the first I've heard of that. We were gonna talk about it, and I told her to bring it up tonight. That's probably an option. But again, when people retire, they retire.
Let me say this, because I feel like we're going into a direction that we shouldn't be going in. What's the main thing here? The main thing is to ensure that the individuals receiving this service continue to receive this service adequately. So how can we ensure that that happens, not with personal beliefs, emotions, and everything else, as Councilman Haskins always says? How do we strategically make this train the trainer ordeal run smoothly, and the individuals receiving the services continue to receive the services and never miss a beat? What does that look like?
Can you tell me what the resume for these people would look like?
I have a suggestion. What if you put it out there for applications and you get somebody who is well qualified to come in with college degrees in senior nutrition?
What are we paying?
Well, no, I'm just saying, what if you have someone that's super qualified for the job to come in? Because you have people that have worked for DHR that would be good in that position. I mean, the option to move Glenda up is there, but you also want to see what you get in the application process as well. Because what if you find someone who is exceptionally qualified?
We won't.
It needs to be vetted out, and we need to firm this process up, and we need to firm it up immediately.
Correct.
Because if not, this is gonna fall by the wayside, and the seniors are gonna drop off, and we're not gonna be providing service to them. Because
In my opinion, it's just my opinion, when you don't offer a college laborers person sufficient amount of wages, you're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get a 40-hour.
Yeah.
You're not promised to 40 hours.
I mean, $14 an hour is what we're paying.
That's it, and Sarcoa says 20.
So I would say there's benefit from promoting within as well, within the organization.
There's value to that.
We can go that way. I think there's more that needs to be done in the senior center. We've been lax on getting our seniors out and about enough. I think somebody with additional ideas and going out and trying to search for someone.
do you have somebody in mind?
No, I do not. That's why you advertise for the position.
Listen,
I do not have anybody in mind.
You can't even supervise the street department sufficiently. So
that is not your responsibility.
It's my responsibility to tell you
not.
what to do, and you carry it out.
No, it
and
isn't.
that's what you haven't been doing.
Read that. You have no rights to talk about the street department.
Oh, I have all the right to talk about it. I ain't reading nothing. You type up something on a Word document and you want to print it.
No,
But listen,
this is an attorney general's opinion.
that's
You
not,
guys-
no attorney general is gonna put anything on the letter. No
Yes, sir.
letterhead, no attorney.
I printed
You
that
can
out.
talk- I was born at night, but it was not last night.
You did that. You have no.
Street
You have
department
no
has
responsibility
more
over the street
deficiencies.
department. Nothing at all.
Street department has more deficiencies than any other department
In
in
your
the town
opinion.
of New Providence.
In your opinion.
You have a personal problem with the senior department.
I
Now
would like
you
to see more activity in the senior department.
get down there and make them do more activity. Congratulations. But that still does not negate the fact that you have somebody that's prepared to step into the role that we can promote within.
You feel, if she has a resume that's submitted and you feel that that is sufficient to step into the role, I'll consider it.
Well, you're not gonna get anyone qualified unless they have been a prior director for the senior center for Sarcoma. Period. And it doesn't matter where I stay or go, I'm telling you what is happening.
Your opinion.
No, I know. You don't know half of what you think you know about the senior center and about what we do. I know each.
I'm not sure that a whole lot happens at the senior center.
I know
People don't come out.
I know each senior individually.
Yes.
I know what they're capable of doing. I know what they're not capable of doing. And they're not getting out, going on a trip to Montgomery. Part of them can't even step up in the bus. That's the reason we have a van. So you don't know near what you think you do.
Okay.
And
Advertise for the position.
I am concerned about the seniors. I know the ones that need the food. I know the ones that come because they have no one at home to cook to get the meals. And it's more important that they come and play the games they want to play and eat and go home than you or Sarcoa or the governor deciding what they need to do, because they'll tell you in a heartbeat, I'm not. Now,
Ms. Glenda,
I'm done.
Ms. Glenda, would you have an issue, and I'm just putting this out there. The mayor wants to advertise a position to the public, which he should. Would you have an issue going through the application process to put in for Ms. Faye's position? So then, I just say advertise for the position, let Ms. Glenda apply for it. And I believe, and I'm sure there's others up here that believe as well, that Ms. Glenda should have, her experience and her training under Ms. Faye should be taken into consideration when she submits her application. And I'll just leave it at that.
Should we not be advertising for 2 positions though? Because if she is appointed to Ms. Faye's position, then we would still need a beginner person to come in
You'd have to
as
find
well.
another person.
So is that gonna happen after the 2 weeks and then they're gonna be left with not enough people? I mean, shouldn't we advertise for both positions at one time so that we have somebody to fill in if she's appointed?
Yeah, we can do that. We can get 2 out there.
But I don't think there's anybody up here, Ms. Glenda, that questions your experience or the training that you've had under Ms. Faye. So please don't take it that way.
I don't take that way. Big business said, I won't have any problem if there's anybody that can do it better than I can do it. Or has more experience than I have.
Well, we appreciate you being that open-minded. But like I said, your experience at the senior center and working under Ms. Faye and the training that you got from her, I know it carries a lot of weight with me, and I'm sure it does with others up here as well.
Any other comments? Street department report, yeah, we've been picking up a lot of Russian limbs off the side of the street the last week. Mowing has been taking place in and around the park and the
McKinnon?
Is that inside our folders?
No, there is no street report.
You wanna touch on that while we're on that topic?
We can. The council may not adopt any ordinance or resolution requiring the mayor to give written instructions or orders to employees and offices of the municipality. Nor may the mayor, nor may the council require employees and department heads of the municipality to answer directly to the council for their actions and to receive their instructions, in whole or part, directly from the council. The council may not assume direct control over the police department, the maintenance department, or other buildings or inspection of the departments. This is a Attorney General's opinion from the state of Alabama.
I'd like,
Where is the report? Where's the street department report for us?
That's what I don't have a street department report. I'm not probably gonna have one unless
What
we,
did they
no,
do?
but what we're gonna do is put it into the budget to hire a supervisor for the street department, which was turned down last year. I had it in there.
You all turned it in?
You all turned it down, yes.
I don't remember.
I had it in there as a street department. Same thing with same thing with the Concord Police Department. And I can talk on that.
But I think what I recall was that someone got let go and this question came about or when we hired at that time.
That was strictly a street employee. That wasn't a supervisor. I'm saying we need the supervisor. We should have tried to get one last year. We did it, and then he come back
You were going
in.
to supervise them, that's what you told them.
I mean, I would have been all on board for you restructuring the supervisory program, so.
We didn't have the funds, and I'm still looking to see if we can do that this year.
I'm saying whether we have the funds or not, I just don't remember that coming up. But one thing while we're on leaf and limbs, I need him to go back down to Fitzsimmons. I had a citizen stop me today.
Let me talk leaf and limbs. People have been coming up to us and talking about things that are not picking up. When the gentleman goes out to pick these up, there's plastic, tin, PVC, toothpicks,
bless you.
Thank you.
wood of all different types in these piles. We cannot pick those up. We don't have anything but a sanitary landfill to pick up the limbs and leaves that people leave out.
I understand all that.
And that's what we're finding when people call in and say, we haven't picked anything up.
I got you, but Mayor, what we're saying is the alternative, the second order effect isn't just to ignore it for the time being. There needs to be some.
I've stopped
type
at
of
2 houses in the
I got
last
you.
month.
I've personally used my own equipment and gone and picked up the crap.
Yeah.
Max Spector range excuses, 0 meters. We need communications to notify them, if you're not getting picked up, this is why it's not picked up. And if it's not picked up, you send chief out there later on, and they do a ticket or something against the ordinances.
And I'm
There's
saying
gotta
in the
be
last 2
further
months, I've
action.
been to 2 houses to explain that it had to be separated. And then we picked it up.
That's what I'm saying, that we need a process in place, that's not, you shouldn't have to do that, I, as a councilman, surely shouldn't have to do that. We need a process in place, they notify you that, hey, X address has this deficiency, and then we notify them some method, which we have not established yet. Whether it's sending one of our police officers out to give them a notice or something, and just correct the problem instead of kicking the can down the road.
At the last 2 meetings, we passed out this rules for trash pickup and the ordinance for trash. And I've asked the council to review these so we can either rewrite them or go with what we have. Has anybody even looked at those?
We didn't even have a quorum for the latest.
No, this was prior to that. I passed this out. That was at a working meeting. I've handed this out twice now. The rules for trash pickup, if there's things that you want to change in here.
But see, that's my point, Mayor. The rules, they've been there forever.
Yeah.
So it's not the fact, it's like putting a speed sign out there. It doesn't look good. I mean, they're just gonna ignore it. So what's the second order effect? Once you ignore it, here's the next step. Until we get your attention up, if your crack load off the side of the road, or we're gonna hit your pockets.
Well, we've been trying to talk to the people that have been doing that.
Yeah, we
Either
gotta stop
myself
talking.
or Marty. We go out and talk to them.
Okay, so the ones that were just not picked up, you said there was several recently that weren't picked up because of trash. So how were they communicated to?
I've gone out to 2 houses myself.
Recently?
In the last 3 weeks, yes.
So this is the ones that weren't picked up this week. That
I have no idea what we picked up this week. We picked up a lot of stuff this week.
But you don't have to continue to keep doing that. You know what I mean? As far as your time, you know, we need some sort of process.
And it needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to be the same process every single time. So I mean, it needs to be, we send out a letter and then, or then we send out an ordinance with the police officers or whatever, but it needs to be the exact same steps every single time. One person shouldn't get a visit from the mayor and then the next person just don't hear back from their leaves and limbs not being picked up. Every single one needs the exact same steps to follow through. In my opinion.
Well, one more thing we used to do was that, y'all remember when the trash truck ran? We did not have a leaf and limb pickup. Everything was put side of the road. The truck pulled it up, picked it up and went to the landfill. Therefore, we would not need the dumpster down here. Once a month, once a week, everything could be picked up and taken to the landfill, and it does not have to be separated.
I think that was a different trash pickup. Though.
Yeah.
I think it was a different company.
Well, no, that's,
No, the street department did
at
that.
the time, the
Nope.
city had their own garbage truck.
No, it was not. The garbage truck is
Oh.
one thing, the trash pickup is
There was a
another.
trash pickup years ago.
It was picked up by the street department. You can talk to Tony Bloodsworth
No,
because he
there
did
was,
it.
and the town canceled that whole project.
Well, that administration
afford it.
passed it. You are always telling me that's the past. Well, the future can be this administration can go back to trash pickup. That way we get all of the sofas, everything that's beside the road gone.
You would have,
I would love to look further into that.
you'd have,
I would love to know what the cost of that would be and if we could put it into the budget.
I mean, you'd have to raise the garbage bills too.
Well, we didn't used to
There's no
have
way.
to raise it, and we're paying now for limb pickup, so what's the difference?
The difference is the additional vehicle to take the stuff to the landfill.
We
The
got
equipment to do that,
vehicle.
and the cost of the landfill.
It's not all that much.
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, we know.
But no, you would have to go up on the garbage bills in order to offset the cost from having to drop at the landfill. Dropping at the landfill is not free.
I mean, but we haven't went up on the trash bill when we put the dumpster out here.
And no, and
You're paying for
I was,
that.
I thought the garbage should have gone up an extra $1 also. I fought to have it go up $1 because of all of those things.
So you don't want to do the trash for the dumpster?
No, I'm not saying I'd like the dumpster, but I'm just saying I do think it would be a good idea to look into once a month picking up trash like it used to be done. I would just like to know what the cost of that would be and if we could possibly put it into the budget. Just for the heck of it, I would like to know what the cost of that would be.
So is the plan to mail these rules for trash pickup for residents out to everybody? Is that-
They're handed out.
Yeah, they get them when they sign up
They
for their
get them when they
garbage.
sign up.
Okay. I almost wonder if it's not a good idea just to mail it out to everybody. Just so we know they have it. And not somebody who signed up, 19 years ago for trash account. Probably doesn't have this anymore.
Garbage bill.
But it looks good. I read.
You happy with what's on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of note are you wanting to add to the garbage bill? Because it's so many
Yeah, we're
digits
limited
long,
on here.
and I can't add that whole thing to it.
Well, I was just trying
Could you make a copy of this and just mail it with the bill?
I don't mail the bills out. They're printed in Texas, packaged in Texas, and sent from Texas.
You
However,
could send out 600 of those.
I can talk to the I3 people,
I
see
think
if I
we
can
should mail
email it to them and have them put it in with the bills when they get packaged. I'm not sure that, I can't guarantee you they'll be able to do it, but I can try it.
I think we should mail these out just for the sole reason so that all the residents know they've all been informed recently and they know what the rules and the expectations of the town are. And they can't sit there and say, "Oh, I didn't know," when they're throwing piles of trash across the street instead of in their yard where it should be.
Just for added information, I do believe it's on the website too.
Everybody.
This?
Yes, I believe Eric put that on the website.
I still think we should mail it.
Oh, well, no, I agree. And like I said, I'll see if I can email it to the company and see if that can be.
It would be awesome if they could and kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, because when I say I've mailed the bills off, it's, they connect my server with their server and it's a drag and drop thing.
I got you.
Yeah.
We have a public comment in the back.
Look, I've been volunteering with the Christmas Parade since 2001. You know, and I give thanks to God that I was able to present the Christmas Parade to New Brockton. So now I need to say, under leadership of the late Mayor Charles Cole, my husband Johnny Herron, who was District 1, Mayor Pro Tem, and these people helped me, and I want people to know who helped me. There's Mr. Drister, Mr. Eve. They were very supportive. Angie Oak and the surrounding area took part in the event of the Christmas Parade. My point is, I am moving home to Kentucky. So I'm letting you know that I wanted people to know who supported me. I got support from these people. I've been volunteering ever since 2001. So I want to thank New Brockton, town, or city, whatever you want to call yourself, for supporting me. Our first Christmas parade was at night in New Brockton. And this was 2001. We had 60 units. So thank you. Good luck. Because I am trying to move back to home in September. So this is open to anybody else that wants to volunteer. Thank you.
That was great. I've talked to you the last 2 years, appreciated everything you've done for the Christmas parade.
Yes.
I
had two keys
think
to the city.
you just answered that question. You're leaving in September?
I'm thinking about, yes, my plans are to leave in September.
Okay.
So-
We need to put that word out.
You
We
do.
need
And I want to
community
thank
volunteer.
you, Todd, for the last time we had the Christmas parade, you let us use your electric because we didn't have it. So I'm a person like you. If you do something to me, I want to thank you for it. Because support us. First Christmas parade, I'm there. I did it. Thank you. God bless you. Because without God, I couldn't do it. Because you meet all kind of different people. Yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other comments coming out of the council?
Oh, and I forgot, Caledonia was with me, Barbara Cole was with me, and many more. But, y'all so tonight, I'm just kind of mixed up.
Any other comments from anybody else in the public?
What are these things that's on the back? Like notice of election of municipal officers and stuff? What's the process for that and when's it gonna be put out?
I'm gonna tell you that in a second. Where's the letter that I thought you were gonna put that in the book, the notification. Do you have one? Okay. Councilman Rodriguez.
I am a little gave me his word that he was gonna come out here and read his report every month, just like Chief Grimes, just like Miss Bay from the senior center. Fire department is critical infrastructure of the town. They serve the public, and if Chief Woodham can't get here, he should be able to have one of his guys out here for 30 minutes once a month to read report. I don't think that's a big ask. What makes it worse is the man promised me he was going to do it, and he's not following through. And that kind of upsets me. He can come here when he wants to ask for money, but he can't come here once a month and read his report. That's unacceptable.
Okay, I agree.
Furthermore, find anything out about the Lincoln Lane?
Have not. I mean, the last time we talked, I called them again, and they said it's still on the plans.
$450.
The other thing we need to do is, we found a resolution where the town did a resolution to put that light in. So we probably need to do a resolution to take it out. We'll do that.
It's just a matter of drafting because we
Yeah.
voted to do it. I don't know how many months.
Well, you did vote it a number of months ago. I agree.
So I had.
Councilman Flowers.
Thank you. I want to revisit. It is the council's duty to oversee the city's operations. Would everybody agree?
The policies that we agree with you, but not the
execution.
Yeah, we make a policy, he executes the policy.
So in order for when we're doing budgets and all that, you have to have or have to know the department's functions and how they function. This is essential for good governance, for transparency and oversight. It's not only appropriate, but it's expected. Ms. Fay, Mr. Arnold, Woodham, Chief. So we need to know exactly what our street department is doing for us to create a budget. Rolling into that, again, it's legal for the council, it's lawful for the council to request what the departments are doing. If there's any disagreement here, please speak now. But I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, that's our job, is to set forth the policies of the expectations of work to be accomplished by whatever department. I mean, that's the whole point of a council. So, yeah, I see your point in that aspect, but we can't direct them how to do it.
I'm not directing.
Yeah, I know, I'm just talking out loud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see what you're saying, yes. Because that's the checks and balances of accountability. Are the tasks that we're asking to be done, are they being done?
And if they're not, we have a right
Yeah.
to speak on it.
Well, and then also, I will say too, if it's a service that's being paid for, any citizen should not have to walk in here to request for a reason that has to be picked up. Period. It's a service you're paying for.
Then we'll stick to the plan, twice a month. And I send them out more than that. When we get calls, I send them out. Otherwise, now we'll stick to twice a month. Only on Fridays will he pick up leaves and limbs.
Yeah, but even when he does that, he's only gonna pick up half of them because they're gonna have trash and everything else in them. And we still need the second order effect.
Need the second order effect to
Yeah.
go by the ones that are not able for us to pick up.
Yeah, to notify them, hey, this is what your stuff's not being picked up.
Immediately though, not 2 weeks later when he goes back out again. I mean, that needs to be something that happens fairly quickly. If that's a Friday pickup, Monday, they should be notified of why their stuff was picked up on Friday.
Fridays.
You know, what if we had like a notice for that individual just to walk right over there and put it in their screen door or put it in their mailbox? So it's a blanket statement. Here are the reasons why, one of these 10 reasons, whatever it is why your stuff wasn't picked up.
We can do that. Marty stops at houses and talks to the people about why he's not picking up their stuff. He does. So we can We can give him a piece of paper to put in a.
I think
door,
if
a
he
mailbox.
was actually documenting that he was doing that, it would be better for the town.
Yeah, it would, that's the con of just a notice, there's no documentation of it, so that, I think scratch that out.
We
Yeah, and
could-
maybe like have a paper, like he can jot down their address and have them sign it, that he verbally gave them.
Playing on that though, we can go to Weevil Graphics and same with because I have carbon copied garbage applications. I can get carbon copied notices. That way we have his hard copy and then he has a copy that he places on their door or in their mailboxes, which would be proof, theoretically, that he left the notice that could be brought back to the office and filed for follow-ups or citations.
I think that's probably the best idea so far as notification.
We can execute that.
I don't know how much it's gonna cost. Would you like me to get a quote or just follow through with it?
I plan on trying to break away tomorrow and be at the Coffee County working meeting at 1:30.
Okay.
So I'm planning to attend.
Any other comment, Mr. Flowers?
Where are we on our budget?
Hasn't started yet. I'll tell you what, I've done about half of the police department's budget.
I know that we need to be getting that
Yes.
before it's pretty soon. I think ALM recommends 90 days prior to the fiscal year, so we need to be adopting something within the next 2 months for sure. But that's all I got. Thank you.
I've looked at half of the police department budget, that's where we are. Haven't looked at any of the others. Councilman Whitaker. Councilman Atkins. Councilman Terrell. Couple items I'm gonna go over real quick. About a month ago, I got in an email from Alabama Power on their inspection of the ball field parks for new posts, LED lights, and fixtures. Would cost us $8,500 a month for 15 years. And we can pass that around and look at it, but that's what I got in. Yep. The president of the planning commission is here and she has tweaked my memory. The planning commission is short one person. So if anybody knows somebody who would be interested in joining the planning commission, the meetings are on the third Tuesday of every month. And I did get a text to you, but yes, we have to have monthly meetings. So we're looking for an additional person to round out the planning commission. And I don't have that with me. I thought I did. Looking at the municipal election calendar, as of June 10th, we need to give notice to the election. What's happening is we have a document that was drawn up and with various information on the election. And it's going to be in the Elba paper. No, that doesn't have everything that I have to do. Talking to ALM, the 10th is on a Tuesday. I asked him if, I was at a meeting, I met the ALM representative yesterday. We have to get this into the newspaper this week, so it's posted prior to the 10th. It talks about the amount of time you have to qualify for a position. Talks about the fees that are required to go for an elected office. And I'm sorry I don't have that copy, but I'm going to email it to everybody tomorrow. But the 10th is the official day that people can qualify for positions, mayor and council. The 24th is the last day, so there's 14 days for people to register, qualify, and meet the requirements. Any of the council members have done an ethics commission report here within the last couple months, you would not have to do it again. Everybody else that is new and wants to run for a position has to do the ethics commission information statement, and that is part of their qualification. So we're meeting the calendar as of the 10th, but that's when it goes into effect, and that document will also be on the webpage. And I'll get you a copy of that tomorrow. I'll email everybody now. Working with the police department. I know you have asked about this. On the 21st, they will do another training event on the 21st of June. And anybody in the council is invited to come out and see with the police department if you wish. The time of approximately 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at the Tri-States Gun Club over in Clay Hatch.
Level Plains.
Level Plains, on the backside of Level Plains, Clay Hatch, but I can get you the location if you're interested in doing that. Board registration and leaves and plans. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
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 Heavenly Jesus.